What do you think the biggest shifts were like in recent, like maybe post-COVID age, like especially with like generations, which we discussed, but also AI and so on. Like, how did industry change in your opinion?
I think firstly, co-living and remote, co-living's grown enormously. The digital nomad thing has exploded. Solo travel has become a thing. People are solo traveling anyway, like they're just going anyway. But my argument, I did look into the solo travel market because ultimately solo travelers are the sort of people that bubble. As do couples, by the way. We have couples too. But like, I realized that like solo travels, because they have to solo travel, but also you don't have to bubble on every trip. You can bubble on 1 in 5 trips or 4 in 5. I mean, some people want to bubble every trip. Other people will bubble occasionally, and that's okay. So in terms of travel trends, I do think that, catering for the solo traveler, the personalized itinerary, all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of apps out there who can do AI and personal itinerary, and we're plugging into that ecosystem.
Hey everyone, hey guys, like welcome to another episode of Reframe First podcast. It's a podcast where I meet business leaders from the industry, and we're having some honest conversation about the industry trends, and about real operation challenges they have. So I'm Oleg, I'm the host of the podcast, and let me welcome today's guest, Hayley Melidonis. Hayley is founder, CEO at Bubbl. She's also angel investor, advisor, from what I know, and also podcast host. So hi, Hayley. It's really great having you here.
Thanks a lot, Alexei. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. So from what I learned, Bubbl is like very interesting mixture of Airbnb and LinkedIn targeted on the new generation of travelers who value like social and networking part more than luxury stay. And it's, from what I read on LinkedIn, Bubbl is more about meaningful connections, and whilst Airbnb is like Airbnb is space first, Bubbl is people first. And so, Hayley, could you just tell us more about what you do at Bubbl, what you're building, and what your mission is? Because it sounds quite interesting. It's like on the edge of two different industries.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned one thing about people making connections. I think we're really at a broader level looking at trends about experiential travel. People, when they travel, I mean, of course, so we had COVID. Thank you very much. We had COVID, and it's morning over here, sorry. So we had COVID, and that really, and I started running Bubbl because I was running these shared ski houses in Lake Tahoe. And I saw that people who afford hotels were really benefiting from the community experience from a shared home for a ski trip. Fast forward a couple of years, and when I actually left Uber to do this job, I was working at Uber. And I realized that, there's increasingly a need, particularly, and even more now so. I started this before the AI boom, but really now with AI, there's an even incredibly much more needed, I think, for people to interact, more people are working from home, et cetera, in real life. And, when I started looking into incubating this, I was like, how come there's a lot of platforms I can rent a property on, but none I can share it with? And the reason is that all of these platforms exist just for the purpose of a transaction. No one built in what I call the community travel layer or the connected housing layer. And that's what we're building. We're building a connected housing layer across the ecosystem of travel, because just because the industry was built to isolate and make people overpay doesn't mean it has to stay that way. And so the more I looked into ecosystems, I've worked at companies like Nokia and Intel and Uber. A lot of these companies build their strength and their platforms because they build ecosystems. Airbnb was a great example. We've got some investors from Airbnb on our cap table now. So what we've seen and what we wanted to do is like make a win-win for everyone. And Bubbl is win-win. Travelers get a better deal and they get a social experience. Property owners get a better utilization of their property and more reassurance because we know everyone who's in their property. The leaders of these people, the Bubbles, the people who are setting up these houses anyway offline, those people get a free ride, or they get help and tools to help them organize it. And obviously Bubbl benefits because we get to build a business. We're building a community of a global community of socially responsible travelers. We're building a completely new way to travel at scale. And it's like an extra alternative. In the old days when I was single and I was 29 or whatever, and I was living on 30 and I was living in Europe actually, and I would want to go to Barcelona or something for the Easter weekend. In the old days, I'd either have to travel by myself or find someone I knew to go with, or stay in a youth hostel. But you know what? I earned enough money. I didn't want to stay in a youth hostel. So I wanted something nicer. So now I could actually just start a bubble or join a bubble. That's the difference.
How big is usually the bubble? So from what you read, like it can be like sports event, it can be conference, it can be like.
Yeah, so there's two types of bubbles. Actually, there's the bubble, the housing bubbles, and the kind of the event bubbles. Bubbles are being our beachhead market is to go after events right now. So we're targeting the big events and we're partnering with side event producers, people who are creating like side events because those people will then need housing, right? For their people that fly in for it, like South by Southwest, for example. And so that is an angle that's working really well for us. In terms of a bubble house, I mean, the minimum bubble is 2 people, could be a hotel room. Most bubbles, if it's a house, are, 5 plus people, maybe it's 5 to 8 people on average, or 4 to 8 people. And then we obviously have a thing called Bubble Village, which is a series of houses. And what we're looking and really understanding more after being in market with 28 events is the need for people and the desire for people to want to be in something bigger, belong to something bigger, some sort of community. And so I'm really excited that we're working on that kind of product right now. With all of the learnings we've got. A bubble, yeah, could have, but a bubble, we've had people in bubbles with 55 people, 70 people, because those
Okay.
people might be staying in a retreat and there's like a building. Like it depends on how the leader wants to structure the bubble. The concept of the bubble is stay together, share together. And it's our tagline. And the stay together means it doesn't mean you're actually in necessarily even a house. You might be in a hotel block or a hotel wing. It means you're staying in a group together, and you're sharing the experience together. And you're sharing costs, probably, maybe. It's
Yeah,
very real.
and you have something in common, but to discuss. But there should be some part about matchmaking. How does it work?
Yep. So obviously when you're new, your matchmaking's harder because you've got less people. Matchmaking's based on a few things. One, the type of person, but two, if you're going to a large event, the booking horizon and what you're looking for and what your budget, location, things like that. So there's the two elements, the practicals, like what I need. And by the way, that's where Bubble actually, I think, wins because we're solving a need, i.e., I'm going to South by, I need a place to stay, as well as I want to stay, I want to have the best time with the best networking for the money I'm spending. So we're solving both. Yeah. So we match for the practicals, and like I'm not willing to share a room. I mean, most people don't. Most of our things are rooms. Most of our things are, solo rooms. And the other side of it is, okay, who am I? What am I looking to achieve? The matching facilities for that are pretty simple. Sorry, someone keeps calling. Let's get rid of that. Because if you think about it, the way we're growth hacking around these events, by virtue of the fact that you both go to the event, you've already got something in common.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially, I remember my days like going to some conferences. So that's a great
Okay.
experience.
When you used to.
Yeah, because you come over and you know nobody, but on the other side, you could bubble with somebody, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
And
right.
and come already connected and know some people around.
Yeah.
So that's why this is something resonated with me because that's something it's on the edge to different industries like social plus
My
and
vision.
especially
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, no, just gonna say my vision is that anyone can lead a bubble. And who
Hmm.
bubbles? Everyone bubbles. They bubble with people like them. I mean, maybe not everyone bubbles. There are people who go, oh my God, I would never stay with other people. And I'm like, great, you're not in the target market. Perfect. We're not after you. We're not going to waste our money on people like that. I do think that, because of the reaction I've seen, people of all different walks of life with all different budgets and wealth, including myself. I'm a fairly successful executive. I bubble all the time. It's really social. It's really fun.
All right.
It's not even, I would argue, about an age thing. It's not about age. You got people who are 65. In fact, we actually had a guy in our last Sundance bubble, so he would have been probably in that age category. And he was great. It's about attitude.
What's your demographics like? What's like average age or age group that
Say 30 to 40.
30 to
Yeah, they're
40?
not 25-year-olds. I'm not built. This is not a youth hostel platform. You want to go stay in a youth hostel, there's a whole lot of youth hostels for you to go stay in. This is if you want something a little bit nicer. You're going to go to South by Southwest or Sundance, and it's more expensive by definition to go to these things. Very hard to find a youth hostel during South by Southwest.
All right, because my next question was about like market trends, like how does it play with Gen Z and their shifted expectations in travel and
Yeah.
personalization and stuff. But it sounds like your target audience is millennials, basically.
No, sorry. When I say Gen Z, I think Gen Z are going to be using us and will use us. And I mean, we already have. I mean, we actually do have a thing for age on our database. I should actually go back and look at who's traveling. But my point is that we're actually getting more and more people who are older because I don't think there's a market catering for them. So FYI, there's a whole market of even Gen X people who do not who, the kids are in college. Like there is a huge market there and they've got more money. So just as an interesting, and they're probably less likely to party and trash a place than college students. So I like mature people who care about things like, buying insurance and things like that. But in terms of changing patterns, yeah, I think I look at it things like people are wanting experiential travel. People have high expectations. People are getting more leaning into wellness travel, personal growth. The why for Bubble is personal growth through experiences
Yeah.
and connecting with others. And that correlates directly with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which I did study at university when I did consumer psychology. I've got a marketing background. The other thing is, I think, Gen Zs, I think they're looking for experiential travel, and then I think they're looking for culture fit. I think they're looking for meaning when they travel, more so than just ticking off the Taj Mahal, on the list. So we want to be bringing a whole lot of experience creators on these platforms who are going to deliver that, as well as sustainable tourism. But back to kind of growth, we want to build. So I spent some time at Virgin, okay, and I say there's a lot of Virgin in my brand. Actually, these are my three influences. Virgin in my brand, because Virgin represents freedom. It represents so many of the cultural things that like serendipity, infinite possibilities, that whole positive mindset, like that
Mhm.
freedom, that inspiration. That's the brand we want to be. There's a lot of Uber in my product. We're getting there. Like we're not there yet. We've made one beta version and the next alpha version is going to be even better, making it so simple to bubble, like simple, click, easy. That's the Uber part, where I used to work at Uber. And then the third part, which I think is really important, is culture. Being an 8 times burner, there's a lot of Burning Man in our culture. Things like radical self-reliance, things like valuing other people's contribution, things like team and integrity. There's a lot of those things sort of just subculturally. Like what we want to build is a global community of socially responsible travelers, people who lean in, people who participate, and people who value the contribution and contribute with others.
Okay, thanks. With regards still to market trends, like what do you think the biggest shifts were like in recent like maybe post-COVID age, like especially with like generations which we discussed, but also AI and so on. Like how did industry change in your opinion?
I think firstly, co-living and remote, co-living's grown enormously. The digital nomad thing has exploded. Solo travel has become a thing. People are solo traveling anyway, like they're just going anyway. But my argument, I did look into the solo travel market because ultimately solo travelers are the sort of people that bubble, as do couples, by the way. We have couples too. But like I realized that like solo travels because they have to solo travel, but also you don't have to bubble on every trip. You can bubble on 1 in 5 trips or 4 in 5. You mean some people want to bubble every trip, other people will bubble occasionally, and that's okay. So in terms of travel trends, I do think that, catering for the solo traveler, yeah, the personalized itinerary, all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of apps out there who can do AI and personal itinerary, and we're plugging into that ecosystem. At Bubble, there's an infinite, we actually have a saying, it's your passport to infinite possibilities. You can have, if the bubbles that you're looking for is not out there, you can run one yourself, right? If,
Yeah.
if that person to go to Barcelona is not there, I can promote my own bubble and build my own bubble and probably, subsidize my spot if I want to for it, especially if it's a big enough thing and I'm doing a lot of organization. So we're creating a platform where people can honestly chase their dreams. They can run retreats. They can learn things. They can go to conferences. A lot of people on Bubble are going to Sundance. They couldn't afford to go on their own. And they're leaning into, what's the loss of privacy versus the fact that I can actually go to Sundance because I can afford a room and I get to meet cool people. I cannot tell you how many people build business connections, friendships, and even my husband and I met each other in a relationship. Like we met in a summer share. So I cannot tell you like the non-tangible, well, actually tangible effects of being in a bubble are incredible.
All right. That's interesting. Well, that's new concept for me, but like it sounds amazing. I should give it a try. I should give it a try for sure.
You have to have the right attitude, though. You obviously have to have the right attitude. If you're someone who turns up and doesn't like it that someone left a knife in the kitchen sink, or someone who, maybe someone, of course, the leader curates the house and the rules and everything, but you got to understand there's a lot of different people. And that's why we have like this idea about socially responsible travelers. You get to rate and review your peers after the bubble. So if you're being told that you're noisy late at night, you might want to tone that down the next time you do a bubble.
Ah, so yeah, you have the review system. Yeah, it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. With regards, like maybe to your business, I've seen your recent post like 2 weeks ago that you are growing like quite fast. What are you working on right now? So what are your bets? But basically, where do you want to be in like 6, 12 months?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. We want to have tons of users and tons of bubbles, but we want to, the bubble village concept, I think is really getting traction.
Bubble Village.
Yeah. Yeah. A bubble village. So what we're doing is what we did at Sundance. Basically, people want to belong to something bigger. That's what we're seeing.
You can rent a lot of the whole property and invite a lot of bubblers in.
Yeah, or multiple properties and partner with a side event producer and give people VIP access to that. So give people a community within a community or partner with communities who have communities and, combining it with side events and brands that want to activate in the bubbles. There's a lot of benefit to brands that want to activate in bubbles. We've had various different brands, beauty brands, wellness brands, going off the back of Sundance, which we finished last week, to South by Southwest and to
Okay,
Eastern.
it sounds like a platform, so do you give them ability to monetize on the platform?
If you're a leader in a
Really?
bubble, you charge what the hell you like. You can charge what you like, what the market
Okay.
bears.
So if you are an influencer, you can create your own village and invite
You
others.
Yeah, you could do anything you like. We are selling branded bubbles and sponsorships and things like that because we're doing a lot of the work. We don't need to be doing the work. The platform's easy to use. It's just that people don't have the imagination yet. But we're showcasing and really showing what's possible and all we're doing is overlaying connected housing to what's already going
Mhm.
on. That's all we're doing. And we're going to do it well. I just hired our first product manager. So we've been in market a year and we've been building for 2 years without a product manager. I was the product manager. I'm a BD person, marketing, brand. I'm kind of a generalist, but definitely we're at the stage where we need a product manager because we've got to make decisions and we've got to double down on certain features and build our mobile app. And it's just getting a lot more complex. Businesses are wanting to use us. It's just getting a whole lot more complex. So we've got a great new product manager. She was at Facebook, Meta, WhatsApp, Match.com, really, really relevant experience. And I'm delighted because our roadmap is going to be, like I said, we want to build the connected housing layer for the future of travel. We want to plug in for events and later for vacations. And whatever that means in the ecosystem that we have to build around helping people with accommodation and with properties the most efficient we can, we will get it done.
Before you mentioned the background of your product manager, my thought was you're not a housing platform, you're not Airbnb, a social platform.
Um,
It's like social experience, first of all. Like the accommodation is like the layer underneath where you stay, but the rest is social experience.
it is. So here's what I say. We're selling belonging. Or maybe I said it the other way. Let's say this.
Belonging. Okay,
Yeah,
that's another
sell
concept.
we sell belonging, but people are buying a room, or maybe it's the other way around. I forget. So we're selling belonging, but people think they're buying a room. We get paid for the room, but we're providing belonging. Let me repeat that. We get paid for the room, but what we provide is belonging. That's our mission.
That's kind of a great added value on top of selling a room.
Yeah.
It's just
I mean,
not a
when
room.
everyone's having a little dance party at the end in the bubble and hugging and they're saying goodbye, that's when you know you've been successful.
Yeah. What else? What else is on your table? What are your current build?
Mobile app using AI where AI makes sense, and I know about the cost of AI and, I've got a very established CTO. He's was the 7th engineer at OpenTable. To say he can ship a product is an understatement. So, he's come on board. He also was at Shipped, which is a just-in-time delivery business. Funnily enough, there's a lot of just-in-time actually at Bubbl, matching and property pricing. There's a lot. It's a very complex platform. And I'm pleased to say that, if it was easy, I'd probably just die of boredom. So, I left a pretty decent career in corporate America at Uber and Intel to do this. And I did it because of 8 years of running my ski houses. I realized not only is there a need, but I thought there was a hunger. And we need to scale. Like right now, we have unmet demand, meaning we can't fulfill all the demand we've got. And that is something that we urgently need to fix. And so we are going to have much more automation, and we're going to double down on the features like enabling any event producer to spin up their own bubble, their own page, and their own sort of thing in business with us. And these are all things that we're just limited a little bit now on. But that can be solved with people and AI, and it will be.
Yeah, awesome. If looking at your business, if you could change something with a snap of your finger, what would it be? There should be something.
Absolutely. Right now, one thing, only one thing, only one thing. Okay, I would have brought in our product
Let's
leader.
make it two.
I would have brought in our product leader a year ago if I could have. Yeah, I think I would have brought the lady I just started yesterday and a year ago because
Yeah.
I've been really too busy working on products and my background is not product. So I think it's an incredibly powerful role in the company. And I think just shaping that product. So I would have changed that because I think we'd probably be in a different place. That being said, actually, we are a little bit I mean, it was only in March last year I started to think about how we could use AI in Bubble, which is probably a few months after other people. But on the plus side, what we did experience and we really learned a lot about was manually running this stuff. And, we know that also agentic AI is evolving very fast and getting much better. If we had started building AI back then, we'd probably have kind of a lot of painful issues and along the ways. I always say that like you're meant to be where you're meant to be because like I could have started Bubble 5 years ago. Right. But I mean, thankfully, I didn't start it 6 years ago in 2019 because then I would be out of business from 2020.
Yes.
It could have got funded in 2021 much more easily than now. All these things have conspired, but I have to have faith that we are where we need to be. I think COVID was a really important thing for people to really realize like how important it is to meet in real life and how.
So from what we are seeing, like travel became a necessity rather than, luxury. So right now, like people after COVID, they understand that they need to travel. After being locked down at home for like 2 or 3 years, they want to just travel continuously.
Yeah. And the second thing I'd change is probably a streamlined. I think when we built it a little bit. We built it to look like Airbnb and people misunderstood that a bit. And we also built it with
Mhm.
this invite accept process in. And I think we would want to simplify some of the processes a little bit. But that's easy fixes.
Yeah, yeah. When talking about AI, like you meant like you started using AI like a year ago. What exactly?
I mean, of
Do
course,
do do you do you like use some agentic AI inside your product?
not yet.
Do
Not
you
yet.
build with AI, or
Yes.
which
Yes.
everybody does
Yes.
nowadays?
I think we're like everyone else. I think, at first, I'll tell you something. When I first designed the product, I built it all that, the leader would do this stuff manually. And then as AI came to the market, we're like, oh, we're probably going to be able to get AI to do this and AI to do that and a chatbot to do this and spin up a listing like this. And now the options are endless for what we can do. But all the coaching and counseling we're getting from experts in this field say, keep it simple and use deterministic wherever you can and just use AI for the interaction. And we're learning that, users are wanting to, even if we send them listings, they're like, oh, hey, I just want a night, 3 nights here with this. Like they're asking us in a sentence. Okay. So we're realizing that they're already asking in an agenda, in an AI way. And so we need to have that product and we will, we're getting it done.
Yeah, yeah. You need to find like, especially when so AI comes to your iPhone, because right now it's not there yet, to your phone, and users will get used to like just
Yeah.
asking their agent on the phone. You need to
Yeah.
be able to respond in native language, otherwise,
Yeah. I mean,
it
we've
will
got,
be just another experience on top of all the experiences users have already.
yeah. And I will just say one thing. We're not building like just an app. We're building a movement. We're building a movement of people who want to travel in this way.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm selling belonging. They're buying a room, but I'm selling belonging. So I'm very excited because I think that's my super strength. I'm a connector myself. And I know from my years of solo travel, running a heliski travel company, when people say rich people won't bubble, I say bullshit. I've seen them bubble. I've seen them go to remote lodges and heliski together and hang out and share the living space and love it. You know, people say, "Oh, that's nice, but it's a niche." I say, "Thanks, thanks, it's not a niche." So, because in 2009, someone would have said, "Oh, that's a nice niche, Airbnb." It's not a niche. This isn't a niche, and we're building it. We're building it fast, and we're going to build it. Honestly, my UX UI advisor said, "Oh, are you happy for like her to own product? Like, who are you going to give up product?" And I said, Marissa, neither of us own product. The customer owns product. We're the custodian of the product.
And it feels like like for me, it feels like you're in a rush right now. So you're moving really fast, and I do not really see a big competition. Maybe there is, but I do not really see a big competition. But it feels to me you just need to educate the market that this is new way to go. And for what you mentioned, like you positioned yourself like as a competitor of Airbnb, but you're adding something way more on top of that.
Absolutely.
And
No,
probably that's the pressure for you, right? So you
I
need to like
didn't
move
position us.
faster.
Yeah, I did not position us as a competitor to Airbnb. You said that. I didn't. I didn't say that. Yeah.
I will cut it out.
I've got investors from Airbnb on my cap table. They were
Okay.
employees at Airbnb.
Oh, you mentioned that people like treat you as like housing solution. You are not housing
Oh.
solution. You're social solution, right? And you need to like to shape the way the market thinks about.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I do understand, and I wish we didn't have to do that, but absolutely, we are having to educate the market in some ways. And that's first mover advantage, but it's also first mover, challenges. So, yes, am I in a hurry? If you don't know me, Alexi, I'm always in a hurry. That's just who I am. I'm high energy. Always in a hurry, always want something yesterday. That being said, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh gosh, as long as if you're making two steps forward and one step back, I do have those days where I wake up and go, gosh, this is just like ridiculous. And when your Apple Mac breaks down for a week, that's annoying because that just totally sets you back. You do have to look at the positives. I do have to have this like, oh gosh, look what we achieved last week and not what we didn't achieve. So I do think, and am I in a race? Yeah, because the whole world, you've got to be very,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yes, I am in a race. There's going to be competitors. But what I will say is that no one can be Bubble. I trademarked it. We're building something that only uniquely, I think, with my experience and my leadership and our team, this culture we're building and all the experience I had working at Virgin and everything, like, I think no one's going to be Bubble. And I have to keep remembering that. And what we're building is being shaped by people who are doing this today. So, if we keep to our North Star, which is to build this global community of socially responsible travelers, that's our North Star. Let's build it as best we can to service them, to provide basically the connected housing layer. I think, we're not going to, lose our way. So, yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Maybe one question about still the market and the position, like the technical stuff. Probably everybody is telling talking nowadays about going omni-channel, different social networks, because you can be watching so some ads or something on YouTube TV, and on the meanwhile open in your phone and send it to your mom like on the other continent, and you need to be present everywhere. So are you doing that? You should be probably.
Kind of social media, we need to get challenged and to get better at, to be very honest. What we're doing is getting our founding leaders to promote us and expand us. We've had a lot has really come in the door recently in terms of inbound and people wanting to use us. And like I said, we've actually got unfulfilled demand. So if I'm growing without having to be on social media and spend money on that, then that's unfulfilled demand. That's not met.
That's a good problem to have, I would say.
I actually think it is. I think it is. Honestly, that's the main thing we want to get is our products to be able to fulfill it more automatically and better. And maybe it's an onboarding experience. Maybe it's the type of people we have leaders. Maybe it's leader education. So yes, I do want to be on social media, but honestly, I've had really bad experiences with social media. It doesn't mean I've spent money on it and got nowhere. And, I think that as a company, we're doing a lot of email automation. What we are doing, we're doing a lot of growth hacking. We're doing what you should do as a startup founder. We're finding demand without paying for it. And there's all sorts of ways we're doing it. But when someone last week, she said to me, she was an activist in the sustainability area. And she said, oh, I saw you at LA Tech Week. And I was about to say, no, that wasn't us. We weren't there. Like people get us confused with other companies sometimes with the name Bubble. I said, no, no, no. And I was about to say that. And then I remembered like, oh, that's right. We were there. We were on all the Tech Week LA event lists. We ran a bubble. We ran one bubble, maybe two. We almost ran two, but we definitely ran one. I personally wasn't there. That doesn't mean we weren't there. I mean, we were there. And I realized that our brand is getting out there because people are seeing us being posted here and there and everywhere and starting to hear about us from other people. We're getting repeat people bubbling, like it is starting to happen. So
That's amazing. That's amazing. What you are telling, like that's amazing because you have more customers than you can handle. That's a really great problem.
and we have more demand than we can handle. The customers and converting them, that's the bit we need to get better at.
Okay, awesome. Like maybe the last ones, I hear you're quite passionate about all the stuff. Besides running this as a business, like what does success look for you, like beyond the numbers? Because like from the whole conversation, I feel the energy, how you live this thing.
The number, I am looking at the numbers. Success, we're going to be successful
You're a
financially.
business founder, you should be looking at the numbers.
No, but I'm not looking at the numbers short term. I'm not saying, okay, we didn't do this, we did that. I know when I get the text messages and I get the emails and I get the this and the that and I know that we're onto something. Success beyond the numbers means we're building a sustainable global community of socially responsible travelers. And on my practice, I don't want bad actors on my platform. Okay, I'd rather have a smaller platform than have the wrong people. I think the world is mostly good people, and I want to provide a platform for them to share and connect and have incredible experiences. And if we do that properly with the products and attracting the right customers, then we're going to grow virally out of control. So I think what I look at is basically NPS, customer recommendations, like are people wanting to refer us, and because that we're going to grow through what they call product-led growth if that happens. And I wanted to create something meaningful. When I moved to the US from London, I went Sydney, London, here in San Francisco. When I moved to the US, and bearing in mind, I've got a British citizenship, I've got Irish, I've got European citizenship, Australian citizenship, I've got green card. I am a global person. And I wanted to build this for the world. I wanted to do something meaningful. And I say this when I mean it. My lofty goals are to build something as meaningful as Airbnb did, as Uber did, etc.
Mhm.
I think Bubbl can be a really big, global, useful brand to people.
It sounds like that. Good luck you with that, and I hope to iterate with you like in half a year's time, if you're up to that at some point. And
Please,
yeah,
please join the platform in Bubbl. And by the way, Alexa, you could run a Bubbl. I don't know what conferences you go to, but as a thought leaders, like one big thing we're doing is like you can run a Bubbl as a way to promote yourself. A leader of a Bubbl is a connector. It's someone who brings people together and, creates meaning and learning. So think about that. That's sort of an
that's
area.
one of the reasons I'm trying to run this podcast.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's another kind of bubble on YouTube.
It is. It's digital though. If you want to get with it and if you want to honestly go to conferences and subsidize your stay, you should run Bubbles.
Okay, okay.
We'll show you
I'll
how.
I'll give it a thought. This was really great, and I really appreciate you coming here and being open and sharing all that you are doing. Is there anything you would like to add up before we wrap up?
No, just Let's Bubble is our social media handles everywhere. We're not Let's Bubble is our ethos. Stay together, share together. So Let's Bubble is like it's a community thing, and everyone contributes and makes it work. And try it out. Sign up, fill out your user profile, fill out what you like to do and where you want to go, and look out for a bubble near you soon, or create your own bubble.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Hayley. Thank you for coming, and have a great day, and good luck with Bubble.
Thank you.